Natasha Clark, our political editor, is with us. I think you got that pretty much right, didn't you? Another sort of potpourri.
So many things, they all came up.
Yes, well, true, but they did all come up, so I take the win.
Yeah, obviously another scattergun sort of approach. I think Kemi Badenoch's theme was Labour's broken promises. That was what she was trying to tie all of her answers together in, talking about the doctors' strikes and talking about sort of a series of other topics. But yes, obviously littered with several Christmas jokes in it. Which ones did you find most effective?
Well, the one we missed was the best, apparently.
At the very start.
This was Keir Starmer before we crossed live to the House of Commons, with a joke that I think someone might have pinched this from me.
Mr. Speaker, may I also take this opportunity to wish you, all the staff in Parliament, every member and their families across the House, a very happy Christmas. And a little festive advice to those in reform. If mysterious men from the East appear bearing gifts, this time report it to the police.
It's quite good, wasn't it?
It's not. Well, I wrote 4 days ago in response to that dreadful woman who can't bear to see brown faces in adverts posting about a carol concert. I wrote, it drives her mad that the fighting age magi always have to come from the East. Nice. What's wrong with white wise men? Why are we being cancelled?
Yeah, it's definitely taken the...
There's a thing. I don't know. Maybe everyone else was making the same joke at the same time and it's a coincidence. But anyway...
There's no such thing as coincidences.
Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. You probably don't know who Bernard Matthews is.
You know that I asked you. I said I don't understand this joke, and I didn't.
He is synonymous with turkeys. So it's like a massive poultry producer from Norfolk. What Keir Starmer should have known, and although I suppose I had to double check, but I was fairly confident that they were forced to close factories largely as a consequence of Brexit. So the UK poultry giant, and this is from the AI overview, so pick a fight with them, not me.
I don't read those, you know. They sometimes are really wrong.
Well, I've checked this one.
Okay.
And the news stories back up the AI overview because you're talking about higher costs for energy, fuel, feed, and crucially, post-Brexit changes to labour shortages, restricting EU worker access, had a terribly deleterious effect upon Bernard Matthews' business. But Keir Starmer elected not to point that out.
Maybe just not on the tip of his tongue.
Probably doesn't know, to be fair. Who does?
Well, AI had Keir Starmer as the leader of the opposition earlier this year, so I've now completely stopped reading AI summaries because I don't trust them anymore. But yes, Kemi Badenoch going on the idea of broken promises that she calls from this Labour government, economic growth she talks about, the unemployment rate as well. It's fair to say that's probably going to be a bit of a thorn in the Prime Minister's side, the unemployment rate slowly ticking up. If it goes over 5.4%, Keir Starmer is not going to be able to say, well, under the Tories, it was far worse. It was 5.4% on average under them. If it continues to tick up anymore, he's not going to be able to have that excuse to use. And you know, it's fair to say, you know, lots of people worried about the economy, graduate recruitment, as Kemi Badenoch was talking about, his promises not to increase taxes, national insurance, freezing those income taxes at the budget. And you know, he's got a definitely, I think, a weaker argument on the economy, and she's able to sort of point the boot in. Both parties, of course, are suffering from defections at the moment. We had Jamie Driscoll, the former mayor, the Labour mayor, defecting to the Green Party earlier today, which is an interesting one. A bit embarrassing for Keir Starmer. He decided to talk about the 21 former Tory MPs that have walked away to reform. He names the 22nd one. I didn't know that was
so it wasn't
even a thing.
21 last week and 22 more this week.
No, not 22 more, as in they've had the 22nd. Started talking about how he thought that the shadow front bench was full of non-entities, and then Kemi Badenoch went, well, what about you guys? Well, have you looked at your cabinet?
That was pathetic, wasn't it?
Didn't really work.
That was
there.
A real, well, I know you are, but what am I? Kind of moment, which you maybe would expect better in PMQs. Well, so there have been 22 Tories defecting to Reform UK, have there?
According to Keir Starmer, I've not written them all down. I've not got a fact check
and you,
on
as
that.
the political editor of LBC, and I, as the presenter
name
of the
4 of them.
biggest show in town, couldn't name the most recent, the deputy chair. It wasn't even. But
so
surely, I'll tell you who's going to be very.
I think he's referring to Jonathan Gullis, which was last week.
Oh, Jonathan Gullis.
I think that's where it is. I thought that was last week. I thought that can't be him. That was ages ago. In the land of reform defections, there's usually one a week from the Conservative Party.
Yes, despite, of course, this.
Never trust a Tory. Did you get that? I'll repeat it. Never trust a Tory.
This is a serious point here, right?
What? You've forgotten where you are?
Sorry. How many former Tories have to come over to reform before people start going, hang on, I voted for you, or I'm voting for you, or I keep saying I'm going to vote for you, because you're not like the Tories. Why are you taking in so many former MPs? I think at some point many people are going to get a little bit upset with Nigel Farage welcoming so many former Tories to the fold. I just don't think it's going to last for long.
I would have thought so, but I suppose it adds to the veneer of respectability that he's desperate to apply to the party.
But that's not why people are voting for reform. They're not voting for them because they feel like they are a respectable party, are they?
I don't know. You'd have to ask them. They don't ring me anymore. And then to Ed Davey, who was very quiet today, very measured, very dignified, I would say, actually, in contrast, arguably, to the other two.
He doesn't do pantomime politics in the same way, does he? No, he's
which is odd, because, of course, when he's out on the stump, he behaves like a court jester.
Yeah, exactly. But in the chamber, it's a serious Ed Davey on.
Very true.
Talking about British Jews, anti-Semitism, and is the government going to commit to a strategy? Again, I thought that was odd that Keir Starmer didn't say that when his own housing secretary has said, we have a specific strategy coming as soon as this week. Keir Starmer choosing to put the boot into Abramovich, obviously those frozen assets from Chelsea Football Club's sale, which the government says is fully prepared to take him to court over to try and get those funds released and to give them to Ukraine instead. That's something that the government have been pushing on for quite a while. There hasn't really been any news on that. I think the last report I saw on that was about 6 months ago, so they're clearly trying to put the pressure on him to act there. Ed Davey also talking, obviously we didn't do our predictions on Ed Davey, did we? But NHS strikes and hospital care, corridor care, some really shocking sort of descriptions, people dying on corridors, calling on the Prime Minister to do a mass flu vaccination programme to stop people ending up in hospital care. Did not take that opportunity, but says that 70 million people have been vaccinated, saying corridor care is our number one priority. Wes Streeting said last week that they are going to try and end corridor care by the end of the Parliament. That seems like a very ambitious target for them.
It certainly does. And that is it for another year. The Parliament continues today and tomorrow, but then they will be hanging up their stockings and hoping for a visit from Santa Claus.
Yeah, and they both will be hoping for I think a better year than, well, especially Keir Starmer will be hoping for a better 2026 than 2025. But, for both of them, I think it's fair to say, James, that these local elections that we're having in May are going to be really, really tough for both of them. And I wouldn't be surprised if we're talking about leadership challenges for both political party leaders within the next 6 months.